Okay, quick. So here's video number 4. It's kind of a revisiting of the first video, sort of bringing these videos full circle. The first video talked about New Agers. Now this last video is going to talk about fake shamans or plastic shamans. Okay. Similar to Buddhism, these shaman traditions, and I use that word very loosely, okay, of North American indigenous peoples are run in the same in terms of you have to have the master, and then the master has disciples, and then a master transfers not only like technical teachings to them, but also transfers power to them. Okay, so they get a transmission of lineage and teachings, but they also get a transmission of power. Okay, that's how it works in Tantric Buddhism, and it works the same, interestingly enough, in these shaman traditions. Okay, again, shaman is a real loose word. I'm only using shaman because the plastic shamans call themselves shamans. So I'm using that word. These plastic shamans are New Agers that, like in the first video, they gather a bunch of shit that's interesting and that in its context is useful. But they take it out of its context, they mesh it in ways that it's not supposed to be mixed, and then they inject their own thinking into it, and they create these hazardous materials, like poison. Like they're taking pieces of medicines, like these are medicines, and they're taking bits and pieces of the medicines and putting them together, and they made poison, right? So, like, a medicine which can heal you can kill the shit out of you if you abuse it and you don't use it correctly. Okay? So these fake shamans are making poison out of medicine because they don't have a teacher. They don't have a guru, right? A shaman who is their master, their guru, and then they're the disciple. They don't have a lineage. It doesn't flow down to them. They literally just decide one day, I'm going to be a medicine man. And then, boom, they go off and they start looking shit on the internet and reading shit out of books. And suddenly now they hold sweat lodges. And then, like you've seen in the news, they hold these sweat lodge ceremonies and people die. People are not supposed to die in a sweat lodge. But when these plastic shamans commit sweat lodges, people die. So that should be a real good sign that they've turned medicine into poison. Okay? And then another thing is, because I just seen something about this, they're talking about like shape-shifting, like, oh, you shape-shift by imagining that you shape-shift. You have a totem animal, and then you shape-shift in your mind. Okay, I know where they got that from, but again, it's like taking it out of context and sort of twisting it around and loosening parameters to make it accessible to people. But here's one simple thing, okay, all in on it. Totem animals, quote unquote, totem animals are not what people think they are. Usually your totem animal is a clan that you belong to. So it's not, in many different tribal scenarios, the totem animal is actually like, it's a political symbol. In other systems, it is believed that a deity created your family or created your tribe or created your band of the tribe or whatever, and that deity takes the form of that animal. Not that they are that animal, but that when they manifest physically, they choose to manifest as that animal. Like this tribe might say, oh, we were made by a deity who is a crow. But he's not an actual regular run-of-the-mill crow. He is a god that made the tribe, but when he manifests on Earth, one of the forms he likes to take is a crow and fly around and talk to people as a crow. Is his choice, whatever. Okay? Totem animals are not supposed to be like you become that animal. It's that animal means something. It's a symbol. You know what I mean? It's like there's some kind of interdependent connection with that animal, and you want to sort of like access it. It's not that you want to become that animal, because that would be like a de-evolution of your consciousness. You are born a human and you're going back to being an animal. That's like falling backwards. You know what I mean? So it's like And then when they tell you to like visualize and constantly daydream yourself as an animal, you're going to die and be reborn that animal. That sucks. That's not a good thing. You know what I mean? You want to be reborn as a human. You want to be reborn as like a god or something. You don't want to be reborn as an animal. You know what I mean? Not that animals are bad, but it's just like what that's like deliberately shooting yourself in the foot, deliberately backtracking. You know what I mean? Yeah, there are sacred animals, but those are not really animals. Those are like gods in the form of animals. Like, oh, it's a sacred wolf, or oh, it's a sacred deer. It's not an animal. It's a being taking the form of an animal for the purpose of communicating to humans or whatever. It's not that like it's actually a real deer. You know what I mean? So it's like, so none of that. None of that. Don't visualize yourself as an animal, as a real animal, because you will be reborn as that animal. And then say you get reborn as like a deer. Well then, good luck, because now you're gonna fucking like have to watch out for hunters. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's just an example of them taking a teaching and not really telling you the full thing. They remove parameters because they like the way it looks when they're done removing parameters, but it's dangerous. So anyway, alright, that's it.